What's going on YouTube? It is your girl Lauren Finesse and I am back. And I missed y'all. I've been trying to get on here to make this video for a week and a half, or well, close to 2 weeks almost. You already know but the title. You already know what we finna get into. But first things first, let me just catch y'all up on life. So, y'all, first of all, life has been crazy. I know it's only been like 3 weeks, but maybe even a month, I think, since I posted a video. But it has just been very hectic. I got a new job and I'm possibly going to have to relocate. Well, I'm gonna have to relocate, but I don't know when I'm gonna have to relocate. That's the thing. I don't know when. I think I'm gonna get a few months before I have to relocate. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. I may not need to relocate at all. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. My uncle passed, so it's just been so much. His funeral, well, he had a memorial service because he was cremated. So the memorial service was yesterday, and I got the news about the job last week. And then like the week before that, I was like, I had like all these interviews like back to back, and they wanted me to do a presentation, and like it has been a lot. But the job thing, I'll get into more detail. I think I may make a separate video about that because yeah, that maybe deserves a separate video. So I won't get into that too much, but life has just been lifing. Life has been a lifing. And oh my God, someone's calling me, trying to FaceTime me. Can't wait. Yeah, I definitely have to come back to that one, guys. I want to talk about it, but it's gonna like trigger me into like 5 different things, so I won't. Also, my girl moved yesterday. My girl Michelle, she moved yesterday. Yesterday was April 1st. Today is April 2nd. Today is my little brother Nick's birthday, so happy birthday to Nikki. So anyway, she had a truck and everything, but mind you, I had my uncle's memorial service to go to. So I was like, I'll try to come after, but then it was like the repass. I just ended up coming home. It was cold and rainy yesterday. Like today, it's beautiful. It's like 60 degrees, sunny, no clouds. Yesterday was like 30 degrees, cold and rainy. So after I left the memorial, I just came home. I went to the grocery store, did some shopping, cooked, came home, cooked, and I just relaxed. I didn't feel like coming back out. So I called my girl later in the day yesterday, and I'm like, hey, how did the move go? And of course, with moving, she had a bunch of stuff that happened with the move. So she's like, I need to keep the truck for another day, and I still have to move my mattresses because her building, she needed to have her neighbor's door open to get her box spring out. The mattress will bend and fold around corners, but the box spring, we needed it to like go in his house and come out his house because that's how she moved it in. He told her he would do it, but then he was like unavailable all day yesterday. So she finally got a hold of him last night. And so she had to keep the truck. So now she's like, I need someone to help me. So me and her packed up. First of all, I'm thinking she just had like maybe a couple pieces left because she said she filled the truck up yesterday. She had so much shit left. I got to her house. She had put everything in the living room. Mind you, she was on the 3rd floor, no elevator, all stairs. So I was like, what the fuck? So I get to her house, and she had it packed up, so it just needed to be transported, but it was just like a lot of bags and lamps and boxes and fucking just like, it was just so much stuff, right? Fans and, brooms and mops, like all of her appliances, her microwave, her deep fryer, her air fryer, her freaking, just everything. And so we put all of it in the truck, right? Up and down. I did, I don't know how many reps I did up and down, but I was like, I'm not getting to my workout because I helped her early this morning, like 9 o'clock, because she she wants to return the truck. And so then we get it into the truck. Now we have to unload it. Now we go out to her new place. Her new place, she lives on the 2nd floor, so it wasn't that many stairs, but her new place is on the 2nd floor. And then we did another 100 trips back and forth with everything. It was a lot. I did not plan on doing all of that. And today's such a beautiful day. I wanted to come out. I want to do something I'm seeing on Instagram, like my people at the WIT. Like, if you don't know Chicago, like the WIT rooftop is like, that's the spot. Like, that's the place to be, especially on a nice Sunday. Like, they have a really good brunch, really good vibes. But I'm in the house and I'm chilling. And I'm ready for this day to be done. It's like 6:30. I'm tired. But anyway, it's already been 5 minutes. I know y'all didn't come here to talk about that, but I just had to catch y'all up on life because life has been crazy. So please, if you haven't already, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, and so let's do this. So Love is Blind season 4. So I just took a couple notes. I didn't take a lot of notes because it wasn't that much, but there were just like some key points that I wanted to touch on. Y'all know my style. I'm not gonna go episode over episode because there's been like, I think 7 or 8 episodes as of now. I'm just gonna go couple over couple. So you guys know the premise. You have this many singles and this many single men, this many single women, and they all meet and they talk and they pick out their person. They form deep connections, and then someone proposed. I mean, I've never seen a woman do it. I'm assuming a woman could do it, but the men propose to the women. They get married. They go on a honeymoon, and in like a month's time, they have like a month, and then they get to the altar. They live together. Then they get to the altar, see if they say yes and if they stay together. That's the premise. So let's just start at the top. Let's just do it. So we have Tiffany and Brett. So Tiffany is I think she's she's like a career counselor or something, HR specialist. She's something like that. And he is an art director for Nike. This season's cast, it's based in Seattle, Washington. If you guys don't know, Nike's head campus, I think, is in Oregon, I believe, or is it in Spokane? It might be in Washington. I don't know, but it's definitely West Coast, like the Northwest Coast area. But I believe it is Washington. Maybe it is Washington. I don't know why I want to say Oregon, but anyway, in that area. Is it Portland? It might be in Oregon. It might be in Washington, wherever. Anyway, so he's an art director. In the pods, I think his only connection was with her. Her only connection was with him. So they hit it off pretty quickly. They start to really fall for each other. You know, they talk about their upbringing. He grew up very poor, but he always knew how to draw. He started putting his drawings on Instagram, and he was offered a job, and that parlayed into him working for Nike. So shout out to Brett because that's a big deal. I think she had a pretty easy upbringing, nothing too crazy to talk about. He proposes to her. They both look great together. And that's what them in the pot. So that's Tiffany and Brett. They're actually kind of vanilla and boring. But when we talk about once they get to the homes that they set up, which, by the way, the homes that they set them up in Seattle are super duper nice. They're like really nice rustic townhomes, but they're very, very nice. Like the insides are modern, but the outside is like very rustic, like cabin, woods, but they're very, very nice townhomes. Very nice. All right. Arena and Zach. So I know you all have heard by now. Anyone who's watching this video, who has watched the show, then you already know Arena and Micah are just terrible people, especially Arena. And Arena looks terrible on top of having a terrible ass personality. So Zach had a connection with Arena, and he had a connection with this woman, Bliss. Bliss, nice, remembered his birthday, baked him cupcakes, very reassuring, smart, beautiful, a lot going for herself. He grew up, his mom was a stripper. And so I think he got into this Captain Save-A-Ho type of vibe. And that's why he chose Arena, because I think Bliss almost intimidated him. Like now he's a district attorney, or no, he's a defense lawyer. So he's made something of himself, even though, like, his mom was a stripper. They had a rough life. They moved around a lot. But I think he almost saw a project or like something he could fix in Arena, because Bliss on paper was just like top. Even though I think she's from like Alaska or something, and she knows how to fish, but like beautiful, smart, educated, freaking successful, and genuine. I got a lot of genuine. I'll get into her a little bit later because Bliss did get on my nerves. I'll get to that, but at least in this part of it, she was genuine and tolerable. Arena, on the other hand, is a mean girl. And I think she became a mean girl being around Micah because Micah's an asshole. And I think maybe Arena felt like she was in with the cool girl or the pretty girl, and that caused her to be an asshole. Maybe she's not really like that in real life, but she definitely came off like it. She grew up with really bad acne. Her makeup was so terrible. Her makeup looked like clay on her face. Now, the acne is gone, but she still has the scars. So she's wearing the makeup over the scars. And I mean, it's not even her skin texture. Her makeup, the color, it looked like clay. Like, what's the clay masks, we put in our hair, girls? Y'all mix it with the apple cider vinegar, the Aztec clay. Her makeup looked like that's what she puts on her face as foundation. Just terrible. Just terrible. Like pale and just gray. Anyway, so I think that Zach, because Arena, she didn't remember his birthday. She was a mean girl. She was an asshole. Bliss told Zach, she's an asshole. She's not a good person. She literally told him that. And as soon as she told him that, he instantly switched into, I feel like, Captain Save-A-Ho mode. And it made him like Arena. It made him want to, I don't know, that Bliss saying that pushed him towards Arena. And I was like, you saw it, that's what it was. And he felt like maybe Bliss didn't know what she was talking about, or he wanted to find out for himself. Whatever it was, Zach ended up proposing to Arena in the pods. We'll get to part 2, which is when, again, I'll talk about the honeymoons and where they are now living together. Next up is Paul and Micah. So I mentioned Arena. Micah's the other asshole. I don't think that she's an ugly girl, but she's not as pretty as her attitude will have you thinking. And so she had 2 connections, one with Paul and one with Kwame. Kwame got on my Kwame's so ugly. I'm sorry. I don't even want to say it, but he's fucking ugly. Just, ugh. And his laugh, it fucking... Somebody may talk shit about my laugh. I don't care. But his laugh was kind of pretentious and fake to me. But anyway, Micah had 2 connections, and also Paul had 2 connections. So Paul's 2 connections were Micah and Amber, and Micah's 2 connections were Kwame and Paul. Now, Paul ended up proposing to Micah. They're together. They're the couple. However, in the pod, Micah was into Kwame and Kwame was into her. I think that they were a good fit. She was saying that Paul was a slow burn and things were going slow, and she didn't know how to read Paul, which that level of mystery I think turned her on to Paul. And once she figured out, like, okay, well, I want Paul, she basically made Paul break up with Amber. Again, another situation of Amber was just like upbeat, and she looked a little older. That's the thing about her, though. I think she came off as way older than she was, and she looked way older than she was. She looked very old. And Paul has this youthful look about himself, very attractive. He looks like Cole a little bit, actually. He actually favors Cole. They have like the same eyes, like these beautiful, beautiful eyes. But Cole is actually really good looking. But that's who Paul reminds me of. Cole from last season, that is. And so Micah basically tells Paul, I want to be with you, and if you want to be with me, you need to break up with your other connection. And he's like, okay. And she manipulated him. She also manipulated Kwame. She basically was stringing Kwame along. She was telling Kwame she didn't want him talking to other people. And guess what? Kwame had another connection in Chelsea, which I'll get into, but which, by the way, he had a strong connection with Chelsea, but then Micah manipulated him, and it was like he turned all of his attention into Micah. He proposed to Micah, Kwame. He proposed to Micah. She said, no, I want to, keep going. It's too early for this, but I don't want you talking to other people. And so he kind of cooled down on Chelsea a little, still maintained the relationship, but kind of cooled down on her. And then again, Micah did the same thing to Paul. And Paul went into his date with Amber. Amber was very excited. Amber, I think, though, had been married twice. And so I was like, Amber, this would have been your third marriage. Like, girl, you already look like hella old in the face. You might want to take a step back. Just relax. Like, maybe this show isn't for you. You're, in my opinion, you're forcing love. Now, do I think her and Paul had a connection? Yes. But she was just a little too eager, and she gave off this, I need to have a baby now, I need to get married now because I'm old and I don't want to be a censor. Which, by the way, Chelsea is the same way. I'll get into her in a second. That's Kwame's fiance. But Amber just gave off this, I'm rushing vibes. And so anyway, so Paul let her down. She came into the pod like so excited to talk to Paul, not knowing that Paul was about to dump her. He indeed dumped her. She felt terrible. She felt shitty. She came back into the housing with the rest of the ladies, and she was sad. She was crying. She pulled one of the other girls to the side to kind of tell her what was going on. And Micah and Arena were like, oh my God, I'm happy that because she came in crying. So she knew that Paul had broken up with her. She's like, I'm happy, but I don't know, I feel bad. She's genuinely hurt, but oh well. This is Micah saying this. And it was just like, oh God, you're such a terrible person. Like, but in all fairness, I get the sentiments. Like, I do want this man for myself. And so, yeah, I would rather you be crying than me. But it was a little mean-spirited, and it didn't even need to be that deep. So anyway, so now it's time for Micah to break up with Kwame, because obviously her and Paul decided they're going to pick each other. So you have to, disconnect from your matches. So she goes in and she breaks up with Kwame. He's thinking everything's all good, and he's a dumbass laugh, looking ugly as fuck. And he comes in thinking it's all good. It's not all good. It's not all good. It's not fucking all good. So he's hurt, but he plays it off, and he's like, okay, whatever. Okay, great. I wish you the best. I care about you, da da da. It is what it is. So he leaves, and she's pretending to be hurt, but she's like, I feel relieved. And so then Paul, I think like the next day, he proposes. Kwame goes in the house and he's crying. He's on the counter. I'm like, what am I watching? What am I watching, Kwame? First of all, for context, Kwame, if you didn't catch on by the name, he's a white guy. Micah's a white girl, blonde-haired white girl, even though I don't think she is naturally blonde. It just gave very much. Now, Kwame was an ex-football player. Football overseas, meaning soccer. And he looks like a soccer player. He does. But my thing is, he was so distraught by this white woman just crushed him. And then he was so ugly. Kwame's terrible. I just could not. So anyway, that's that. They're out. So now we have next to last couple, Kwame and Chelsea. So now once Micah breaks up with Kwame, he has no choice but to focus on his other connection, which is Chelsea. Now, Chelsea is the person that has been reassuring him. Again, she was playing almost the Bliss to his Zach, where it is, I'm remembering everything about you. Look, he proposed to Chelsea and she remembered his whole name. Like, he got like a American name, and then like some African names, and his last name. Like, she said this man, he had like 5 names, and she remembered all of them when she said yes to him. And it was giving very much desperate. I'm sorry. Chelsea is a very vanilla, plain white lady. I think that's why he liked Micah, because Micah does come with the spice. Like I said, Micah's not an ugly woman at all. She's pretty. She's a pretty girl. Just not to her attitude. Her attitude will have you thinking she looks a lot better, but she's actually a very pretty girl. Chelsea gave very much vanilla, bland, boring. She definitely fucked him on the first night when they got to Mexico. Like, just like overly thirsty for this man who she has on a pedestal up here. He has her about here. He has Micah way up here, and he's here. It's just, I can't. So anyway, he picks her. She's the default. She's excited because she actually was really into him and was worried that Micah was gonna take him away. You won. Congratulations. You win, I guess. Next couple, which is the last couple. And actually, I don't know, we'll see. I actually think I might do, I don't know. No, I'm not. I'm actually going to do a part 2 to catch us up because it's a lot and I want to get deep and we're already at 20 minutes. So, because this last couple is triggering to me. Jackie and Marshall, to which Jackie had 2 connections, Marshall and Josh. I don't think Marshall had any other connections. Josh didn't have any other connections. But this couple right here is triggering to me because Marshall reminds me of my ex and Jackie reminds me of myself. Like, the things that were happening, I could see what was happening. It was a mirror. Not to the extent, because Jackie actually was pissing me off, certain things, but just like how the relationship dynamics were like a mirror with me and my ex. And so I want to get into that. So let me wrap up the pods and then we'll come back with part 2. I'm going to do it right after this. We'll do a part 2. So anyway, Jacqueline and Marshall. Jackie is this, I don't know, this like rough exterior, beautiful girl, but just kind of this tough exterior, calling everybody bro, which I hate that. It's irritating. Marshall does this thing where he purchases lips that annoys the fuck out of me. He's just like sitting there like, now mind you, he has these pretty eyes, so he's a good looking man, but he gives off very effeminate vibes. And it's not because he's emotional, because he's overly emotional as well, but he just looks very soft and sweet. And Jackie's very hard and rough. Even though she's a beautiful woman, she gives off very hard and rough. And so they could complement each other well, but Marshall is just, and I'm gonna get into it in the next video, he just does too much. Like, no one wants a man to overly compromise on everything. I'm telling you, fellas, oh, I'll do it, baby. What do you need, baby? Do you need space for me? Do you need me to go over here? What do you need me to do? Da, da, da. Women don't like that shit. And the women that like it are probably using you. I'm saying it. They're probably using you. And maybe you're using them for the look or sex or whatever it is. But women do not like that shit. I'm telling you, we don't. It's irritating. Anyway, so Jackie has to choose between Josh, who is great value Amari Hardwick. That's what he looks like. Great value for sure, because his ears are like super big. And he's kind of looks goofy with his haircut. I think maybe in still pictures, he probably looks good, like model-esque, you know, nice body, put together nice, but on camera moving around, he gave very goofy. I think it was his ears, but also his personality was very goofy. But it matched similar to what Jackie said that she was used to. She's used to dating the good-looking, asshole, sporty, athletic type of guy, which is what Josh was. And Marshall is this reserved, mature. He's very mature. I like that about Marshall. He's mature. He's emotionally mature. He's mentally mature. And I like that, but he's a little overly sensitive and overly compromising. And so anyway, she says, do I go with the guy who I normally would go for? Or do I go with the guy who is like something I need? You know, her being this this rough exterior. She mentions how she has to take care of her family, and just like there's something going on with Jackie that we haven't uncovered yet. Her family was against her coming on this show, doing this process. So when we meet her family in the next set of episodes, which will also be the wedding episodes, I don't know if we'll get all of the I do's, but we'll definitely get into some of the weddings. I think we'll see what it is. There's something. I don't know what it is, but there's something with Jackie. So anyway, so I'm gonna stop it here. We're gonna do a part 2 where I'll catch up on all 5 couples and where they are once they left the pods, when they went to Mexico on their honeymoons, and then went from Mexico to their townhouses. So y'all stay right there. Again, if you haven't already, please go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about the guests on this season. Like, do you like them? Who were your favorites? Who did you dislike? And yeah, what do you think about my commentary? You agree, you disagree? Let me know down below, and I will see you guys in part 2. All right, guys. Bye-bye.